Sensimina, weed, cannabis, herb, and probably the most popular moniker, ganja. These days, marijuana is a buzzword economically and medicinally. Now, for some time, the BVI has been having a hot debate regarding this issue and the push for the government to weigh in on the modern approach towards marijuana, whether to legalize it or decriminalize it so that it can aid in unclogging the justice system, as well as bringing the demand for marijuana from underground to the above ground economy. Now, today on The Big Story, I'm being joined by Bishop John Klein. He resurrected this issue on his talk show last week, and he says that, or one of the issues that he's pushing forward is that marijuana should be legalized in the BVI. Why? Because it will aid in no longer criminalizing people who, for whatever reason, choose to smoke a little weed and end up turning them into possibly hardened criminals. Welcome to the show, Bishop.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
On this very controversial subject.
Controversial it is, but
Yeah.
it's a conversation that must be had because more and more countries within the Caribbean, such as Jamaica, Uruguay, even CARICOM has set up a commission to explore what should be done regarding marijuana. We know that in North America, whether or not the federal government agrees with it, huge money is being made from marijuana recreationally and medicinally. So how is it that you think that the BVI should go about trying to not only tap into marijuana, but utilize marijuana to rehabilitate social ills?
Well, you know, when I think about this problem, and this is not something that I just came up with or jumped on the bandwagon because it's new. But I would say more than 5 to 7 years ago, I've had this conversation with one of our magistrates who I knew very well, and as to why it is not being considered. Because of something you mentioned, it clogs the justice system for these non-violent crimes. It costs the government so much money to house these young men. It destroys their lives, it destroys their families. When they're in prison, they can't support their children any longer, especially the young men. It take away their voting rights. And there is this whole chain reaction for something that was criminalized, and I see it it has done more harm to me, to our society, than it has done good. But we adopted it, of course, because you know the other big nation says that it's a crime, but I think all of us have to judge motives, because alcohol is more dangerous than marijuana is. Cigarettes destroy your lungs and your health. It's one of the leading causes of lung cancer and death related to lung cancer. So, but marijuana now, if you check the history and if you check why it was criminalized, it affects young black men more than anything else. We have more young black men in prison in America right now today than you had slaves, black men enslaved back in the slavery days. It is a form of disenfranchising the young black men. And we took that on and we did the same thing to a lot of our young black men. And I know that, yes, I'm a bishop, and I know, yes, that a lot of people will say, why am I here lobbying for it? But it's that's not even the point here, because I believe as a child of God and as a pastor that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and that none of us should put things that contaminate our bodies into. So whether it's alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana, or too much sugar, for all I care. That is a different conversation. This conversation, I believe, have a social responsibility to speak truth where it is being shied away from whether politicians or religious leaders. We are leaders in our community.
Bishop, let's jump from the social issue to the health issue, which you delved into a little bit. You're the former chairman of the BVI HSA, and there's this big push going forward regarding medical tourism. Colorado has tapped into this in a huge way. So too other countries in Europe. We can talk about Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Jamaica is trying the same thing. They're pushing for a huge pharmaceutical industry. How does the BVI tie medicinal marijuana into its medical tourism push?
Yeah, I don't think that it's something that we have to invent. I believe that the models are there. I believe that the evidence are there in terms of the results, whether it's autism or other forms of treatment. I think it has been proven. But because it has this criminal element around it, everyone shy away from it. And unless you first, whether decriminalize or legalize it, you can never get to medical marijuana or its benefits in terms of aiding whether people here or people abroad. So I think it's a discussion that needs to have, and you just need bold and courageous leadership to say what it is and stop hiding from these things. I don't understand.
All right, Bishop, we'll have to leave it there for today. But as you rightfully said, the discussion must continue, and we look forward to government officials weighing in on this issue. And for now, we're going to go to some commentators locally who weighed in on this issue for us here at The Big Story.
All facets of life, this thing is meant to deal with. And with all the information out about the breakthroughs, cancer, neurological help, like how could we still be doing this and one side of the wall saying medical and then another side of the wall saying lock him up still. And then the thing what about him is like no one even does try to see like why was it made illegal in the first place?
I do believe that the law should be amended, to answer your question directly, to allow for the use of small quantity, and that could be debated, but small quantity, whereby if persons are caught, they are not incarcerated. But I think the law should be amended to include, however, that the smoker must be responsible by having a disability insurance policy to ease the burden on the prison system. Don't bother lock them up if they have a small amount and they didn't intend on supplying. Levy a fine on that individual if caught until the law is amended, if that's the case.
But the big problem is when a police officer lock up a man fit a spliff or fit a dime bag and then go in front of the judge now, and the judge them in them own self say, well, here you know, for that y'all get a criminal record plus time in prison sometime. When them return back into society, they're a perfect criminal because Babylon put the youth them against rapists.
So from Bishop Klein, we go to Kathy. And Kathy, the bishop has made it clear that, yes, I'm a man of the cloth, but that does not mean that I should not be part of a transformational process for the BVI society. So in essence, even though he's a man of the cloth, he's getting out in front, he says, so that this discourse can take place as to whether or not the modern approach to marijuana, be it whether to legalize it or to decriminalize it, can be applied to the BVI. And let's just quickly look at this issue of legalization versus decriminalization, which a lot of people get confused. So when marijuana is decriminalized, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's legalized. It means that you are allowed prescribed access and leeway under the law, but it's not wholesale for everybody to grow as they choose and sell as they choose and export as they choose. No, when it's legalized now, it's, even though the laws will still apply, but it's, you can say, more on a wholesale scale than it is when it's decriminalized. Now, let's quickly turn to that video that we just watched of other commentators who are also weighing in on this issue in addition to Bishop Klein.
Yes, and this is a topic that is out there more than we can even imagine. Every angle in society you turn, persons are talking about this, and they're very up to. One thing I discovered, though, we have to be careful in how we categorize this product. The Rastafarians, for once, are very firm on what you call it. It's not a drug for them. It's a herb. It's something natural that God places. Yes, a sacrament. Yes. And the other interesting thing that I heard while on the streets, was one person said that the thing that can be also instituted if it is decriminalized is that we coin some sort of legislation, or put in that legislation provisions where persons are insured. They must have insurance if they are going to be allowed to use this product, which puts the person who is uncomfortable with the situation, if a person is found smoking in a public space and it affects that person, and medically it's proven that this is what affected them, so some amount of insurance be put in place. And I think that means that people are thinking this through.
So there are ways, and there are ways, Kathy. No one shoe fits all. Yes, other countries are doing it in this way, but here in the BVI, let's begin to explore, as CARICOM is doing via this marijuana commission that it has set up, how can and is there a way for the BVI to benefit economically and socially from a modernized approach to marijuana, and let the public weigh in, let the public have an input, so at the end of the day, whatever the decision is, it's understood as to why we went this particular direction, and there is some level of buy-in.
Yeah, and what people are very perturbed about is, why is it taking our leaders to start this discussion? What are they waiting for? They're of the view that this is something that they are aware of, something that they know, and why not start the discussion? Why are you waiting for persons in the community to pressure you into starting this discussion? Legalize the thing. That's
Legalize
what they're saying.
Or not legalize it. But whichever way this marijuana debate ends up going, we hope that we can continue facilitating the discourse here at JTV on The Big Story and otherwise. But until next time, from Peter Gay and Kathy on The Big Story, see you right back here next week on The Big Story on JTV Channel 55.